F5 Advanced WAF or ASM, Application Security Manager, Positive Security Building. So in F5 Big IP ASM or F5 Advanced WAF, there are two different ways to create ASM policy. One is known as negative security model or approach, wherein like whatever we disallow will be disallowed, rest allowed, right? Like HTTP method, file types, parameter, length, their values, whatever we have disallowed in security policy will be disallowed, rest allowed. And the approach is going with this positive security model. So in positive security model, what happens? Only explicitly allowed HTTP transactions between a client and the components of web applications are permitted, right? That's what positive security model is. Very strict, in fact. Whatever we have allowed, only those like file types, HTTP method, URL, parameter value will be allowed, rest disallowed. Very strict security model, right? So there are two different ways. Now the big question here is, but how do we know like what all file types should be allowed, what all URLs should be allowed, what about the parameter, their values, right? This is something really a very big problem, because as far as HTTP method is concerned, so yes, we know like F5 Big IP ASM or WAF means generally HTTP GET method, head and post. These three methods should generally be allowed, right? Because GET and head are generally used like to get information. Post is something, posting some data like signing up, form fill up or something like, right? So generally these three HTTP methods should be allowed, and other methods could be very dangerous, in fact, like port, delete, trace, right, etc. So as far as HTTP method is concerned, it's easy to determine what all HTTP methods should be allowed. So easily we can create a policy, we can build positive security model, right? Using best practice, in fact. But what about file types? What about URLs? What URLs we should allow here, right? What about the parameter values like name value pair? Very difficult. How we could determine that? Whether we would have to talk with the application team, like what all file types have been used in the application. What about parameter values? Again, a very difficult task, in fact, right? So in F5 Big IP ASM or WAF, there is an approach of automatic learning. I mean, like we can create ASM policy here, and we can enable learning of file types, learning of parameter, URLs, right? And we can like keep enforcement mode of policy in transparent, not blocking mode. So from day one we should never like keep enforcement mode blocking, right? Because there could be a lot of false positive. So to be on safer side, we should always start with transparent mode, in fact, and after maybe 7 days or 10 days, once like we have sufficient data information, right? We have added URL types, file types, parameter, their values, then straight away we can change the mode from transparent to blocking. And let me quickly show you what could be the way how this parameter, file types, URL, from where we can enable learning and all that. So let me quickly show you. So here like I'm going to create ASM policy, right? ASM policy. So I will name it ASM policy for this positive security model. security model. So policy template. So what I'm going to use here, rapid deployment, right? Quickly, if you want to create ASM policy, so best way is going with this rapid deployment policy. There is another approach, there is another way which is comprehensive, so we can use that also. Virtual server, yes, there is one virtual server, logging profile, log all requests, I'm good with it. Application language, Unicode, enforcement mode, transparent, right? And we should always start with transparent mode. From day one, policies should not be in blocking mode. And you know the reason, because to avoid false positive. Policy building learning mode, manual. Signature staging is also enabled, and enforcement readiness period is 7 days, which is default. So signature, attack signatures, by default, they all would remain in staging mode, right? So even if the policy mode is blocking and signature staging is enabled, so even attacks will not be blocked, right? We may get like alarm, alert, but attacks like cross-site scripting or code injection or any other attack will not be blocked. Server technologies, so yes, I know like Linux, Unix, and also PHP. So if we have information about application, then yes, we can specify here. In case if not known, then even a 5 big IPSM can learn server technologies also. And that's what we do in comprehensive security template. So whenever we use comprehensive security template, right, instead of this rapid deployment, then we just do not specify server technology and all that, right? A 5 big IPSM automatically detect server technology. So almost I'm ready with the policy. So policy is getting created here, a new policy, and also policy will be attached to the virtual server, right? And whenever we create any security policy, I mean ASM policy, so another local policy is created to redirect HTTP requests hitting virtual server to ASM, in fact, right? We don't have to do that manually. Now next step is like, and before that, let me quickly show you what all URLs, like here in allowed URLs. So only HTTP and HTTPS any, right? And what about parameters? So parameter again default values. And what about file types and HTTP method? So here is the policy. So if we look at file types, so executable file types here like batch or BEN, they all are CMD, COM, they are not allowed, right? You can see here cross. Other than that, as well, there is no other setting. What about HTTP methods? So by default, only get, head, and post, these three methods are by default allowed. We can manipulate that. Alright, so good so far. So next step here is, because we want to create positive security model, I mean like we want to allow URLs, file types, HTTP methods, parameters, their values, right? And then after adding like different entities, we will change the enforcement mode from transparent to blocking mode. All good. So here like in file types, learn file types, always learn everything alarm, and there is no point of even enabling block option here, because policy is in transparent mode. So even if I enable, illegal file types would be blocked or this, that, meaningless for now, right? And here we have parameter, again learn and alarm, and the URLs also, always learn and alarm, and I forget to select always, right? Apply. And also save, don't forget to save this, because settings will be saved, and then apply policy. So first save and then apply policy. So what we have done so far, we have created ASM security policy and enable learning option, file types, URLs, and parameters. Next, what I'm going to do, I'm going to access this backend application with the virtual IP address, I'm just clicking randomly here and there, right? So that FI big IP in the middle should learn different URL types, like this is the URL cell.php, right? And parameter, like parameter means like your name, username, password, value, length, even they all are what? Parameters, name value pairs. So let me quickly create here one user, maybe test user 9, right? And just randomly I'm typing here so that F5 big IP ASM in the middle should learn all values, right? So dummy data 1 2 3, okay. All right, and credit card number, and yes, submit, right? And also help is login, register now, sell an item, home, router, or maybe HP laptop, buy it. So you can see here like different URLs, right? Home page is like index.php, help is like help.php, okay? Selling, enough like request. Now if I go here like traffic learning section, so you can see now a lot of suggestions coming in here, right? What if F5 big IP SM is suggesting here that you should add this file type URL, file type PHP, right? URL index.php, you should add this cell.php, different suggestions, right? And even in case if we want to build policy automatically, then we do have that option also here. Automatically suggestions will be added, right? So now we can select file types, URLs and parameters, and straight away we can click here accept suggestions, right? So now automatically file types, URLs and parameter will be added where we can verify from here allow URLs, and you can see here buy.php, help.php, index.php, right? Still if any new URL like is learned by F5 big IP in the middle, again a new suggestion or just pop up here, we can accept that suggestion. So once we are ready, we have enough data like URLs, file types, everything added properly, we are sure like we have added everything right successfully, then we can go ahead and we can change enforcement model or enforcement mode from transparent to blocking, and we can also set action to block, right? From where? From here, learning and blocking setting. Both options are really very important. So let me quickly show you parameter also. So you can see here tons of parameters added, right? Page number 2 here, and even the values also like our price is something which need to be dynamic in fact. So user input value or maybe static value we can specify, for example maybe payment method or something. So we can most of the parameters have like user input value, right? Like this price or maybe product or topic. So even we, if required, then yes, we can change this to static content value, and we can specify content value here, right? In upcoming lectures we will understand what is significance of static content value when we select dynamic content value, because really if we want to protect hidden field manipulation, nick parameter tampering, then for that this dynamic content value need to be selected, and then we do extraction. Maybe is for now is out of scope, but you understand automatically URLs added here, parameter added, and also if we look at file types, so probably we will see PHP file type automatically added there. Let me show you that also. So if you understand like policy building in F5 big IP ASM, and not only exactly the policy building, tuning is more important, because you understand like creating ASM policy is not very complex, very straightforward, next, right? But tuning a policy is really very important. So it's very similar to what you see in IPS. In fact, intrusion prevention system, it's not one time task. In fact, that you have configured your F5 big IP ASM or any other WAF solution, 40 wave or any other WAF, right, and done, and you've forgotten. No, not like that, right? Because a regular updation, tuning, changes, modification would be required, right? So here if we look at file types now one more time, then you can see here based on suggestion, now GIF, no ext, PHP file types, values automatically added here. Even we could have done that manually also. Let's say you understand, you know like what all URLs should be allowed, you can specify here, right? You allow URL create, and then you can mention here which method and slash, and then whatever URL you want to add, then you can add here. But you understand, in production network really is very difficult task. You will have to talk to backend team, application team. I mean, you'll have to find out all used URLs in the applications, file types. Even they both can be, yes, easily like understood. I mean, but what about the parameter? What about their values, right? So that is something really a bit complex, in fact, right? I'm talking about like parameter here. For example, one of the parameter probably learned here, yes, email. So here you can also specify like what all meta characters should be allowed or disallowed. So for example, we do not want like maybe underscore in the email ID. So if we can select here and then click here disallow. So now underscore meta character will not be allowed, wherein in email, right? So whenever we register here, then in email now we cannot specify underscore. And what if I do that? Will be any like a block message or something? No, because policy is still in transparent mode. So I hope you understand that. And what if we want to disallow? So can we do that also? Answer is yes. For example, here I can see by.php is allowed, right? So get rid of by.php from here, delete it now, and I'm back to application security URLs, disallowed HTTP URLs, and create. Policy is not still. So here like I think it was by.php. So create. So disallowed and apply policy. Right. So what we did, we now disallowed by.php. So this disallowed URL list will be checked, of course, and you cannot put the same URL in both. And that's the reason what I did. First, I deleted by.php from here. Otherwise, you will get an error message, right? So you cannot put the same URL in both. You understand that, right? Contradictory, in fact. So now what would happen if I try to click here buy.php maybe to buy any product? So for example, if I go here buy.it, so buy.php is the URL, but is there any error message here? No, not exactly. And why? Because policy is still in transparent mode, not in blocking mode. But what about alert? We see here illegal URL. Forget about this parameter value length, we'll understand later on. But you can see here illegal URL, one occurrence, right? Buy.php, disallowed URL. So now let's say I want to block this, that if someone clicks on buy.php, then should not be allowed. So how to do that? So first, change enforcement mode of the policy. From here, select your policy, ASM policy, policy security model, and enforcement mode, blocking, save, apply here. So now policy is in blocking mode, right? But what if there is illegal URL? Then what action should be taken? So to check that, we need to go to learning and blocking section of this ASM policy. Go there, under URLs, look for illegal URL. So this option is still unchecked. So even in case if disallowed URL is being accessed, again there won't be any blocking. So click here, illegal URL, then yes, action should be blocked. Save, close and apply. Okay, so what I did now, first I changed enforcement mode from transparent to blocking. Then I went here like learning and blocking settings. I changed the action that if there is illegal URL, then please block that. Now to do verification, I'm back to event logs. Let me delete all the logs from here so that we could easily verify. On this page, home, no issue, sell an item, no issue, right? So we are expecting problem after clicking here, and you can see here buy.php requested URL was rejected. Why rejected? Because of illegal or disallowed URL, right? Disallowed URL, and we will get message here illegal URL. Even there is another violation also, illegal parameter length value, right? So value is, again we can tweak that. And as I said before, in ASM creating policy is very simple, right? But tweaking ASM policy is really very, very important. So you will have to learn tuning, right? So I hope you understand like that. This is the basic of this partial security model. So partial security model, if quickly we sum up. So partial security model means like whatever we allow will be allowed, rest blocked. In negative security model, whatever we disallow will be not allowed, will be disallowed, rest will be allowed. Right? As your antivirus signatures work on your personal laptop, if there is any match with the like signature database, then yes, alert is generated, red flag, there is virus something, right? Other all file types and other like URLs all allowed. In similar way, in fact, here in F5 big IP ASM, negative security model works in fact, right? And here also there is attack signature. Attack signature to identify different attacks like cross-site scripting attack, code injection attack, or any other attacks like. But with attack signature, we cannot build a very a strict ASM policy. Attack signatures are only to control or to block backend applications with different known attacks, right? So if there is match with the attack signature, then yes, and policy is in blocking mode. In case of violation, action is also to block. Signatures are not in staging mode. So if all conditions are met, then yes, request blocked here, right? But attack signature alone will not provide maximum security. Parameter, values, meta values, even your URLs, also bot protection, DDoS protection, cookie tampering, preventing leakage of sensitive data, which is data guard feature here. So ASM means like whole bunch of configurations would be required here. So it's not only about attack signatures. See here, like we have a lot of configuration options, right? In session tracking also, how we can protect backend applications from session hijacking attack or cookie tampering attack, right? So step by step, you will learn everything. So I hope at least you understand passive security model approach in F5 big IP ASM or advanced WAF, right?